Hello, hello.
Back.
Welcome to Warrior Wednesday. What's that? Is that me? No.
It's like 5 feet.
It's me? Let me see. Is what I have something on that has feedback. Let me see. No. Can you hear me? Say something.
We can hear you now.
Oh, hello. Okay, I had the wrong thing. Hey, Deaconess Angelina.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Say something. Let us know you're here. Share. There's Chanel. Yes, Warrior girl. How you doing? Hi, Angelina, Warrior sister. I'm seeing y'all pop on in here.
Come on in the room. Yes, we're so excited to see you guys.
Miss everybody. Miss everybody.
Yes. I didn't realize it's been a month. So I was updating everything. So it's been a whole month since we got together. So come on in to Warrior Wednesday, share. So we can get this party started.
Yeah.
On my husband's side, I should play some music. But
yeah, he'll be like, pay something. Ladies, share. Come on and share with your lady friends.
Our theme song. Hey, Miss Bonnie.
Hi, Miss Bonnie.
Hey, Anita. Come on in the room.
I'm excited.
Come on in the room. Yes, we are excited.
You guys make sure you share with your friends. Hey, DJ Jess. That's what she said.
Hey,
Aunt Joe.
Hey, Aunt Joe.
Miss Gail is in here all the way from Massillon, Ohio. Our PSJBC member from Ohio. She's always ready and serving. Ohio is in the house. They'll be popping in because there's quite a few of them now. They have joined. Kendrell.
Yes, come on in. How has everyone's day been? I seem like I have been going since I woke up this morning, but I had a productive day.
Yeah,
I did do some of the things on my list, so I felt good about that. So I'm a little excited. I didn't feel so running in here.
That's Maddie.
Hey, Maddie.
Hey, Maddie. Hola, ¿cómo está?
Yes, hola.
Maddie's going to have a whole secondary language class we're going to have so we can at least be fluent in the pandemic. I would love for her to teach us conversational Spanish.
That would be good. That would be good. Something to do. Well, it's Wednesday, then it's Friday. Yes. We in the hump day. Almost there. Almost there. Yes, I miss all of you, but we're so excited because we are planning something that we can hopefully get together, ladies, outside. So stay tuned. Hopefully next week or this weekend, we'll be able to tell you guys what we have planned. Hey, Carla. Yes, I have 4 days left in my class, and I haven't. Oh! She has an A average. Go, Chanel.
Go, Chanel. Come on, honor students.
Go.
Scholars around here. Don't play with these women. I'll want scholars too.
Yes. Yes. But so we don't want to delay our time, but we started off with our verses last month. I'm gonna stop saying it because it sounds like it's so far away. But it's okay. So we started last month with our verses of Mary and Martha. Do you guys remember that conversation? It was so good. It was so good. And we talked about so much stuff. I learned a lot. I mean, I've been learning a lot by taking the time to study each person. But we talked about the strengths of Mary, right? Mary and Martha, rather. And we mentioned that, let me see if I can pull it up. Mary's strength, she was a worshiper. She recognized Jesus as King and Messiah. She was the one who anointed him for his death. And she always desired to be at his feet. And we talked about, how Mary was at the feet of Jesus, but Martha was in the kitchen working. And Martha got a little upset because she felt Mary wasn't doing her part. But she was doing the part she was supposed to do, where to be at his feet. And then we talked about how one wasn't better than the other, how they are all needed. So this week, let me tell you what Martha's strengths were. She was hospitable, outspoken, a worker, task-oriented, and she welcomed Jesus into her home. And we need people like that are the worker bees, right? That don't mind working, pulling up their sleeves, and doing that what they're called to do. And then we do need people who will be intercessors. I mean, when you think about it, Mary could have been like an intercessor at his feet to hear clearly, to make sure we're going in the right direction, to pray against the and I just thought about that. It wasn't like, I just thought about it when everybody has a place in the body of Christ, but we're going to be different.
We're all going to be different.
We're all going to be different, but it's not like one is better than the other.
Right.
It's just, but you have to be careful, because you'll be like Martha saying, "Now look,
right?
Why they not doing what I'm doing?" And not knowing that that's what God had created them to do. So, but before we do that, we like to do our trivia and our warrior thing. So this week, I am so excited because we started this, I think, last year. But we did the culture tags. Can you all see that? Culture tags?
Yeah.
Well, this is an actual game. Anybody remember the Because of Them We Can series, where the young lady took pictures of young people, and what did she do? And
they were dressed up as figures.
They were dressed up as Black historical figures. So she may take a child, maybe Malcolm X, and pose them, and they made a whole calendar, and then it turned into she had subscription boxes for kids. Then it's this big thing now where you can subscribe and you'll get updates of things like what we as a people are doing today. It's very good. But she created this game, Culture Tag. It's being sold everywhere, guys. I'm so excited. And it's so much fun. She's Black owned. Her husband grew up in youth ministry with us at First Baptist. And he's a great graphics. They have this great business. I mean, now they have a warehouse. It's just amazing to see. But so we're going to play some of this game today as part of our trivia. So the two topics we chose today was church and words to live by, right? So we're going to start off. Jessica is going to lead us in this. Now, we're going to give you a few hints, right? But we have to type in what's the word, because it's a hashtag. So that's why you see the hashtag symbol. It's a hashtag. But they have different themes in here. It's very fun. So I got mine from Target. It was on sale at Target. So go get yours from Target to support this Black-owned one female business.
Local. She's local.
Local, yeah. She lives here in the DMV. Very smart young lady. I just love her and her family so much. But anyway, so we're going to start on that. So Jessica, which theme are we doing first? Words to live by or church theme?
Let's do words to live by.
Okay, I'm on the wrong computer. I got two computers here. I'm being real fancy.
Yes.
Okay, words to live by. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay, so it's words to live by. Jessica, you're going to have to give a hint or something. It's a saying I'm trying to think of. Oh, let me go.
Old familiar saying, and
It's a very familiar saying.
Ooh.
You would say it to somebody if they're doing something maybe you didn't agree with. Oh, okay.
Deidre, he jumped in. Go ahead, girl.
Yes, Deidre. What you do? You played this game before, Deidre.
We got
I'm excited. Yes.
That's good to kick it off, though.
Good kickoff, because it's really hard to figure out. You just
hard, yeah.
The number. At the word. Okay, so the next one is, you want to still practice what you preach on your first two?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this is kind of church and words to live by.
No, it ain't. It's just a word to live by. It's not churchy because it don't have nothing to do with church. It ain't even scriptural. It's just a saying that people.
Some people would think it would be.
Yeah, people do say it though.
Yeah, Jen ain't here. You right, Deirdre. Jen ain't here. She's fast thinking.
Yes, Jen isn't here. That's right. So.
All right, guys. GDLU. Hashtag GDLU. I don't know it.
I think you would tell a child this.
Yes,
that's it. God don't like ugly.
Right. God don't like ugly.
Lindsay came in there. Deirdre came in there. They popping it in there now. Miss Bonnie. God don't like ugly.
Yes, God don't like ugly. That is cute. Okay, so we got two, Deidre and Anita. So we wanted to start off with a question. Even though this is Servanthood Part 2, what do you think? What comes to mind when you hear the word servanthood? What comes to mind for you when you hear the word servanthood?
Jess, what you think?
Putting yourself last.
Well,
not, behind, putting others first. Not maybe so last, but mainly putting others or others' needs before yours.
Okay, I think that's good. Yeah.
That's good. Giving. I just think giving in any kind of form, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure, because you can serve without always giving time. You can serve as just giving in a form of giving. That's what servanthood means to me. Selfless giving, selfless giving. When you give it out of not because you're going to get expecting something in return. Okay,
I like that. Servanthood, you do. We have some. Chanel said humility. Stacy said unselfishly giving of oneself. But we kind of figured that's what you meant, Stacy. Obedience. Okay, yes, obedience. Being there for others first. Providing. I like all of that because, when you think of servanthood, sometimes people do think negative.
Yeah, good intentions.
Yeah, it becomes like, servanthood means sometimes I'm doing something I may not really want to do, but I'm doing it anyway. And I think when Deaconess Angelina says obedience, because even sometimes you don't feel like it. But as a servanthood, I may not feel like it, but I said I was going to be there, or, they need, I said I was going to be in place here. And that's what I need to be. Anita said, did I say giving from the heart when Anita Mitchell said giving from the heart. Maddie says, to me, servanthood means that you are loving, giving, supportive, and so much more. You do it with no intentions of getting anything in return. Yes, definitely. I am reading this. I started this book today. Now, it had nothing to do with what we were talking about. I was cleaning up because my goal is I'm trying to declutter. You know how we talked about spring cleaning last time, and I mentioned how I hate the spring clean, but I went to 2 other people's houses, and the house was like, well, I said, you know what, I need to declutter my house, which means I need to throw some things away. So in my cleaning, I found 2 books that we purchased a while ago. I would say a good year ago, over a year ago. And I was like, oh. And the book was Serve Your City. You see that? Serve Your City. It's by Dino Rizzo. And it's talking about how to do it and why it matters. So it's really talking about how to serve your community, how to get, this book is for pastors and leaders, how to serve the community God has given you. But the introduction just blew me away because it was talking about to lead is to serve and to believe is to serve. Because I do all those things because I love God. You know, it wouldn't be a hard thing for me to give something to others because I see that they have a need. So it's not hard. It won't be hard for me to do. It'll just, you know, when I think of it that way, and then to believe, because it's what God commands. We supposed to live as He tells us to live. So when, like we see Maddie, where it says means you're loving, giving, and supportive with no intentions of getting anything in return, I'm serving because I want to be like Him. And it's when others receive my service, it shouldn't be like, oh, thank you so much. No, thank God. You know, I had nothing to do with this. I mean, we're gonna thank God together because He gave me XYZ to give to you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about what Chanel said, like the word humility. I was thinking on some of the words. It really is an act to keep us humble, to remind us that when Jesus used that example of washing His disciples' feet, you know, like he gave, you know, that whole, I can be at a certain status. And if we don't do that, we tend to think that we should always be served. It takes away the arrogance. Like I don't have to have a status or title in order to serve. Everybody is commanded to serve because Jesus, He did the ultimate service of touching somebody's feet, and they walked around barefoot in sandals, and they had, you know, they didn't do
They had some dirty feet, child. They had dirty feet.
So that's that's this act of humility. That's humility. So Chanel's words stuck out. I was just going through the list again and scrolling on what everybody said, and I was looking at how it applied to service, and I said, oh, humility. I can really think out how servanthood is designed to specifically keep us humble, to make us know that we are not all that. We have to give to others. We haven't arrived. I don't care what your title is. You still have to serve. And that's what, you know. So thank you for those words.
And a part in the book, it talks about when you are forgiven, you can forgive. When I am healed, I can heal others. When I have grace, I can extend grace to others. So it reminds me of me expressing to others what God has done for me.
Yeah.
And so in turn, I mean, of course, we're not perfect. So I may ride past the person on the corner, you know, and then in my mind have all these questions as to, should I give? You know, I may do all these questions in my head, but if God tells me to give, I'm like, did you really say that? Like, and then I ride down the street, I told you to give, and I got to turn around to do that, because then I realized, you know what, God, I don't want you to hold back from me because you've given me, so there's no reason why I can't. And that's what you said, that humility, that pride, accountability. Okay, Chanel says she has a question. Accountability is what Stacy said that servanthood was, accountability. And that's true, because I can be accountable to how I'm living my life is really truly a reflection of God. It will show that whether or not. Uh, so we'll wait for Chanel's question. I was going to talk tonight. We're going to talk about a little bit more about the weaknesses of Mary and Martha because we're doing these verses. And as they have strengths, they also had weaknesses, the same as we do. And when it comes to servanthood, how to serve even in those weaknesses, or because we're not perfect. So it made me think about what does that mean? What does that really look like when you have these weaknesses? And as we look at Mary and Martha, we tend to only look at, because Martha is the one who voices what hers are. We see hers kind of loud and clear, but we don't know really what Mary's is until we get to the next story that
Right.
they have. Did Chanel write her question?
Yeah, she did. She wrote it.
How can you extend something that has not apparently happened to you? Not that it hasn't. So I'm trying to make sure I follow the question. Can you give an example? Because I don't know if you were referring, because when you say extend,
like
grace, or like when I use those type of words.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what I perceived, but she can clarify. But I think that came after that. Yeah.
Well, when I use those examples, I use examples like grace and the healing and the forgiveness and to be loved. Now grace we receive every day, because we, as being born in sin, and we whom constantly fail, we make mistakes because we're not perfect. So we don't always do what's right. We don't always live in a way that's constantly pleasing to God. That's why he died once for all of our sins, and that we have to ask for forgiveness daily for the things we have done. And the Bible says that he is faithful and just to forgive us. But he also tells us that we should forgive others 70 times 7, just as God has forgiven you. So that's how we can extend that forgiveness, even though it may take us long to forgive someone for doing something that's really traumatic, really hurt us to the core. We may not be able to forgive that moment, but in time, we ask God to help us to forgive. Or I'm reminded that, I'm a whole mess, so I'm going to extend that forgiveness. Healing, it may not be always physically healing. It could be emotionally healing. He's healed my soul. He's healed my mind. And we cannot grant healing, but I may have empathy on others in reference to how can I help ease your pain? What can I do to make you feel better? Even if it's just sitting with you as you go through chemo, even if it's just preparing a meal and dropping it off, that brings a level of healing emotionally to someone that may be going through something and feeling alone. So it's not all, it's sometimes it's bigger than, not in a literal sense, but sometimes it's those little things that we do will bring about showing the love of God. That's really what that servanthood is to me. Not to me, but I believe it's extending that love, being used by God to extend his love to others. Anybody else want to say anything?
You did a great job. You were just going, I was like, great. But I think, Chanel, even when the Spirit didn't reveal it to you, I'm going to go back to your word to keep you humble, because ultimately, when you do something that you don't want to do, and you know you don't want to do it, and you actually press, then that shows you that it had to be God. That's number one. That nobody could have did that thing but God. So if it's forgiveness, like say like you're trying to offer somebody or extend somebody money that you don't even have, and you sow it, right? You don't really have it, but you sow it. Okay, God must have, he must gonna do something, because I know that I wouldn't have in my natural given up $20 that I know I don't have. So the Holy Spirit would have had to have given you that. So the same thing when you're spending to something. That's why I use money, because that's a kind of a thing that we all kind of be like, well, God, if God told you to give $20 and you really only got 30 in your bank account, and you give it, you release it, then that's got to be God, because your spirit would not have done that. I know I got a bill due, God. I'm not going to tithe because I'm behind in my bills, So that's just the humility that keeps us trusting in God for everything, because we can't do stuff in our own flesh. We just can't. We cannot. We are so messed up. He knows those things. We're just a messed up people. But if we rely on him to do those things, which our flesh, and really rely on him, that takes practice. And I want to say practice. It takes strength, and it takes prayer, and it takes asking God to give you strength to do it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on piggybacking on what you were saying, because you said a lot to get it.
I did. I feel like I said a whole lot,
No,
but
I
just wanted to just understand that it's extending what God has done for you. That's really what it is. It's extending to others what God has done to you, and it's understanding. And I know last night Pastor talked about it too, about that your relationship with God, and even though it's not just we got to get out of hell card, free card, we receive his love, his forgiveness, his grace. We receive his peace, his comfort, his strength, and that this is what, when others see us, they see him. And so that's what we have to extend to others. And it's far more than just coming to church.
Yeah.
It's about my lifestyle being so reflective that others want to know who he is. But even if it's somebody that don't know that I was a whole mess, as Deidre just put up here, I'm a whole mess. And I tell people all the time, I'm a work in progress. But even in being a whole mess,
God still
it's the fact that God loves me as a whole mess.
And he still chooses to use half the stories in the Bible. He uses those that are a mess so that he can say that it had to be God. That's why he uses the messed up people, because if he used all the perfect people, then nobody would ever think that it was God doing it. He has to use messed up people. We're the vessels to show that it's him that's in control of our lives. It's him that blesses us when we don't think if we're a stutterer or we don't have. And he says, I'm gonna put you out front, or not even that. If you are the person who somebody comes to, I think one of Tia does it all the time. She always says, people come in my office and
Tia does.
You wouldn't think it would be you, but he's using you. You may not, you think you're the unlikely one. Everybody was like, oh, she's quiet. She's not, that's why he uses the unlikely vessels, so that he can say, I'm going to get the glory, not you. We're supposed, I'm not saying we're supposed to stay a mess. We got to get, we get better.
Well, you know what? But I mean, you get better, but at the end of the day, we're still a mess. That's the whole point. A lot of saints, a lot of believers tend to act as if now, because I may not do outward things that you can see. Say I don't go to the club anymore. That does not mean that I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal. I just stopped clubbing. Right. But we tend to focus on the things but we're always going to be a mess when we line our lives up to Christ and to his word, because we are not going to ever attain that.
That pastor say we just. I'm thinking of his words. He always talk nasty.
You're nasty. Yes, you nasty. And it's a reminder because I think sometimes because we may not do those things that we used to do, there are still things in our lives that are a mess. We're not perfect by a long shot, and it's by His grace that He doesn't wipe us out because we didn't do what He told us to do. And so when I live my life like that, then I think I tend to will have that sympathy amongst others, and then I will want to share what He's done for me, and that's all about servanthood. Servanthood is me seeing a need and wanting to fill it. So if I see you struggling or I see you hurt, I should want to do something to help you, and it's getting to that point where we sometimes want to know why you in that situation, as opposed to what can I help you with? What about the people who thought we wasn't a mess? Now, there are people, that's true, Anjo. Now, I know before salvation, I really didn't think it was nothing wrong with my life. And so we're going to encounter people that don't know that they're sinners.
Humility.
They don't, and then we're going to encounter people that don't know they're sinners, and they really don't know because they have not come into that knowledge of that. But how can we show the love of Christ that will show we're different? So I think sometimes at work, things like that, or we're in situations where, like I think I told this story where we were in the not Costco, my husband and I were in line at BJ's to get in. This was in the high part of COVID, where you went in a few at a time, and then they were I couldn't figure out what the line was because it wasn't, that many people in the store. So we got up to the thing, got close around the corner. This an older lady was wiping off all the carts. I mean, she was diligently wiping your cart as you walked in. So a lady in front of us was going off. Like, what is it? Oh, she going off. So she was so nasty and snappy to the lady and said, I already wiped my cart off. The lady was like, well, no, I have to wipe. I have to wipe your cart, and she just going off. And the lady been going off and she smashed the thing, whatever. And then she turns to us, like when we get in and say, see, take my, forgive me, I we don't know the lady. My face probably looked at her like, what, you are crazy. But she wanted somebody to co-sign that her actions were correct. Because how people talking and they want you to be like, yeah, that's right, that's true. They don't need to have that old lady,
Right. She looking for.
You wanted me to co-sign with you, but I don't know if she heard us because when we were behind them, we took the time and said, thank you so much. You're doing a great job. We just encouraging the lady because she only doing what she was told to do. And she was diligently cleaning the cars to protect us from the harm that could come to us. But the person in front of us going off. And so I say all that. I mean, it seems like I talked a whole lot, but I said all that to say how we react. And I could have been like, even though, yes, I was a little trying to figure out what was the problem. Like, what are we standing out here for? But if I was not a believer, and probably my husband wasn't with me, second joke, but the fact that, okay, once I saw, what, it's true. We're going to be patient. But I could have been like the other person and co-sign, and we all fussing and da-da-da-da-da. This should be but so those are things that we have to do to show people that when we do what's right, it's a reflection of Christ, and they will have to see themselves. That's what I'm thinking. I feel like I'm talking so much. Jessica ain't said nothing.
You're doing good, Jessica. She waiting for them culture tags to come back. She gonna do her job.
Hey, Latia. So yes, we're still talking about, I think that's true about servanthood. But it was a verse in 2 Corinthians. We talked about their weakness. Paul talks about that each time he said, "My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness." And he's saying this, and this is what Jesus is saying to him. My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. Mm-hmm. And I think we as believers need to show people that we're not perfect.
Right.
And I think the body of Christ has made a habit of pointing out what others aren't doing that's not godly, as opposed to showing love. Because when Jesus came, what did he do? He went and hung out with the
He was pragmatic. He was pragmatic, and he wasn't dogmatic. And when I use the word pragmatic, that's just a language word for me. It's like you cannot go by laws and rules, and because we know we are so flawed and so messed up, you have to give people grace, and we have to give ourselves grace. Jesus wouldn't have had to die if we're going to keep going with the rules. The rules were pre-Christ. The rules were pre-blood. The blood keeps us and covers us because all of us are sinners. Bottom line, we're not going to get past that. You can't ever work yourself. That sin will never, you can't get enough baths and enough showers to get that off for you. We are all sinners. We are born in it. We're going to be in it, and we're being perfected through the Holy Spirit. But at the end of the day, like you said earlier, Lady Paula, we have to extend that grace, because if it wasn't for his grace given to us, that's not to say you still hold fast to your convictions. You don't change how you're doing because if somebody comes to you and they're doing something wrong, you're going to just let them you're going to still hold fast to your convictions and be convicted in the things that you believe. But you don't have to turn your nose up at people and shun them. Don't bring them in your space and offer them time and offer them bread and water and clothes and all of that because you think you've arrived. It's amazing to me. Just to be saved by grace.
Question: How can we be? What are some ways that we can be better servants of God? What are some ways that we can, that if right now in your life, what are some ways that we can be better at being servants of God in church and outside of the four walls of the church? Is what I'm saying. What are some ways, Jessica, that we could?
I'm about to call her name.
That we could do. What are some ways? Because I think it's a tangible thing. I mean, we talk generally, but just what are some ways? And if for anybody, out here, what are some ways people practice what you preach? I know that's right, Stacy. That is true. Practice what you preach. But give us something, because I think a lot of times we, I would say first thing, look around and see where, I know what you meant on Joe. I said cook because I know what you, but look around and see where there is a need. Get out of your head. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody saw, okay, I'm sorry. Get out of our heads. Don't always act out of emotion. I think that is true. Check on our elderly neighbors. Mm-hmm. I think that is so true, because a lot of times there are people around us, especially our neighbors too. I told you I have to be better. One of these years, I didn't realize I lived here for 13 women. 13. Ben is turning 13 this year, so that means that I have lived here for 14 years, and I still don't know my neighbor's name. Still don't know my neighbor's names. I mean, still don't know. I'm gonna do better. 2021.
For me, I was thinking it's being a better manager of time. Since COVID, I've been really this whole thing of time. God has given us time, and we all have the same amount of time, and we don't guilt about the time. It's just being a better manager of that time. Like
So
you
what
was
does that have to do with your servanthood?
Yeah, because it's like you were just basically what you put up the other day, like learning how to give things up so you can do the things that you're supposed to do, things like that, time management. Because we always, particularly for in the body, we always make room for what, like Jonathan McReynolds say, I make room for what I want. And you tend to say I don't have time, or it's going to take up too much of my time, so we run from it. You see a phone call coming through or a text, you don't answer it because you don't want people to ask you for your time, because you feel like you had something else to do. But if you were to look and say, well, where is it that I'm mismanaging my time that I can give to that? You can't give to everything, but if it's something that you really feel you need to be doing, then it's mismanagement of time. That's
Okay. So for you to
for me. I'm saying for me. Yeah.
adjust. No, I know you were saying for you to adjust your time so you can be free to do the things you feel called to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was just trying to shorten it up. That's all, so I can know. So I can be clear. Latia says, "Don't be afraid to speak up, to give advice to others, and listen." Okay, that's to be free to speak up. I think that's good. For believers, do all things as if Jesus is with us, like he's looking at us. He is.
Yeah.
That's true. Ask people how they're doing, wait for their answer, and really hear them when they respond. I think that's true. I think we use how you doing and keep on walking. Don't even say hello. Don't even listen for the answer. That's true. And another thing, and as I was reading through, it came through to me too, as to every day asking God to use me. Use me today, Lord. Show me someone whom I can bless or be a blessing or to help. And it goes along with what Dana said, because sometimes we're so going that if something did come along that we may have to stop, then it's like, oh, I can't because I got so much stuff to do, or I gotta be here. But okay, is this where you want me to be?
Being intentional.
So really asking him to, how can I be a servant today? What does that really look like, or who can I serve today? And I think when Angel said, what is a need? And I know during the pandemic, now one of my neighbors, an older lady, we did ask her, did she need anything? And so we had went and gave her toilet paper and went and did things like that. And she was so thankful because she was afraid to go to the store. But I don't know now would I have asked that question if it wasn't a pandemic? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So it just made you think about, what, let's check on people. Let's take the time if we see somebody in the store, or if God tells you to pay somebody's groceries, or you see somebody short, or you see somebody put something back. Most of the time people put something back, it's not always I don't need that. It's like, oh, this is coming up a little bit more than what I expected. So I have to make some hard choices.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think really we can ask the Lord daily, what do you want me to do today? Because in this book, it was talking about how people want to be seen. They want to feel noticed and feel loved. And a lot of times, everybody is going. So, Latia said, I keep doing that, hitting the wrong thing. I follow my advice with the scripture a lot of times too, as well as sharing my own testimony. I ask in my daily prayers that the Lord uses me to bring someone to know him. I ask that he shines through me.
That's good.
Yes, that is good. And every day our lives can be like that. Every day, he can use us. Sometimes it's not always us to witness to them, but I think by just showing the love of Christ, it's sometimes like, wow, just to draw people to him. And Tia said, if you know someone is in need, help them. Check in on people. And that's true. That's true.
And also keep in mind that service is not always with people. Its service is with a need of fulfilling something that needs to get done, even though people are attached to that. But like if so I'm going to just use the church as an example. We're in where we put out a call or something and somebody needs something. You may not actually be directly given to the people. We may have to go and clean the church, that, and then nobody will know that you did that. Like you're not going to actually, the sink can't tell you thank you because the sink got cleaned, but it is service. I'm just using that as a broad. I'm not telling anybody. I'm just using that because we think that
that's good though. That's a good one though, Dave. That's a good one. It was funny when you said the sink can't tell you. I was cracking up at that.
Right, they can't tell you thank you. It can be with something else, and so, but everybody. That's why you have to. I think even though it's not our job to fill every broken spot in the world, we have. That's why. But if everybody comes together and does something, things will get done. So we are collective, even as a body of women, and we have 50 women in the room. 50 things should be getting done at that time. Even if it's silent, or the sowing of your time, your talent, your treasure, 50 things should be getting done. We shouldn't have nobody in that room should be sitting dormant, because we all are here to be used by God. That's our sole purpose. That's our only purpose, is to be used by God and to bring him glory.
And when you say it that way, and when you compare Mary and Martha, some are to intercede. As I said, some are to pray, some are to cover, and some are to be the workers. But it's also, even though we're talking about, I think a lot of what we were talking about was outside of the church, but even inside of the church, it's a known fact, what they say, 20% of the membership does work inside, but I don't always think that it's has to be that way. I just think that sometimes it's knowing in that commitment of, what, I want to serve in this capacity, or I may not be able to commit to every week serving, but I'm going to do my once a month to do XYZ. And you can count on me second Sunday, or I can come help out on the second Tuesday of the month, or something like that. I think it's that commitment, because the church does have a purpose. And the church, they need you and your resources to be a blessing to others.
We can't be a blessing,
You mean it's a necessary fact you need, but it's also that training and getting together. But we're gonna go into our next trivia, because this was good. This is good. Then we're gonna go through a few of the weaknesses of Mary and Martha. But I guess we got stuck on that servanthood part. But it was really good to discuss. I think that discussion was really good. Okay, Jessica, you ready to talk now?
Girl.
Okay, Aunt Joe. Okay, I'm good. Maybe this can help someone. Ever since I have been walking with God, my prayer every morning before I get out of bed, Lord, bless me to be a blessing. So I am expecting to bless someone.
Yes,
Joe. Yes, Aunt Joe. Help, Lord, bless me to be a blessing. So your expectation that day is, Lord, so you're looking for someone to bless. I like that, Aunt Joe. Stacy, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I
I can hear you saying that though.
I know. That's why I cracked up. Let me know if there's something I can do as a blanket statement. I'm a listener, and I naturally think beyond the moment. You may not have all the answers, but it doesn't hurt to act, step in, and respond to what has been gathered in your hearing. When you open your ears, it's a lot easier to open your heart and your hand. Yes,
that's good. Stacey, you because you just said the word.
But you know what? But the key thing there, and I love it because this is how Stacy operates.
Yes.
I've seen it in so many different ways, and even in different ways in her life. But that is key. But it still goes along with that, Lord. You're praying to God to help you to bless somebody. So then now when I have that expectation, then when I hear you talking, I'm not listening just to hear your story. I'm listening to what actually is being said. So then where can I be a blessing? That is good right there. Those two right there.
We have that mindset. Like I said, it's more for, I know as a person, it's not an indictment of us as people to say, well, I just don't feel like it or I don't have time. It's just that we have to make the time. That is what we have to find how to do, because we're never going to get there. So Stacey, you said a word and you kind of speak to how what Aunt Joe was saying is what we need to do. Like, okay, I'm going to think beyond your situation. I'm going to go past this. So what can I do to solve that? Help or be a contributor to solving that. I may not solve the whole thing or contribute.
Not solve, but just the really, I think really is, Lord, my hands are open and I'm willing to do whatever you tell me to do today for whomever you send my way. And I think, and I probably say that because I've just been reading this book today, and it was talking about it's not the end result is not always solving a problem, or the end result isn't always them coming to salvation. Sometimes it's just that sharing that love that it will cause them to say, wow, to look at it, and then God, they feel that love of God because you've done what God has sanctioned for you to do for that person. And I think that right there, when she said, when you open your ears, it's a lot easier to open your heart and your hand.
That's good.
That
good, Stacey.
Good right there. That's that just made my heart like, those two right there changed my prayer and my heart.
Get Stacey some hearts on that. Can y'all do that?
Yeah, get Stacey some hearts. I don't know if we can't heart
from here, but y'all in Facebook, y'all give Stacey some hearts on that one. That was good.
Yes.
Like that.
The next two culture tags we have are from their church themed. Now they're little I used the same too. Okay, I'm gonna do one. I did print off the same two, but I'm gonna change it. But here's the first one for you, Jess, and I'm gonna go pull up the other one because I just realized I did both of them.
So you would say this when you think about all the things God has done for you. I think
I may have to hold the other one up because I realize I'm not on my computer, so I'm not gonna be able to upload.
When you think about his goodness and how he's sustained you. When you're not kind, but he is.
Come on, y'all. Y'all can get it. Come on.
I'm trying not to say the words.
Well, first of all, that's a lot to think.
It is a lot to think.
All words.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words.
Give you a hint. I'm gonna give you a hint.
Come on, Stacey. with the Holy Ghost tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't put up Deidre, but it was Stacy went first. Deidre, sorry. He's been better to me than I've been to myself. Yes.
Better to me. And then she put that me capital. You better go ahead, girl. And I've been to myself.
Okay, let me take that.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, the next one I'm gonna have to hold up. Let me get that one.
Maybe you can put yourself solely in the screen. Can you take me and Jessica out and you can put yourself solely in the screen? They can see it.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. This is. Can y'all see that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That back was so H.
Stay still.
Yeah, stay still. HDHTDIBHD. Come on, Jess.
This is another one when you just keep thinking about the goodness and that it didn't. It's just all the goodness of the Lord.
HDHTDIBHD. I don't say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Trying to get in the middle of the screen.
You right there. You good. Just stay right there, right where you at. Come on.
Okay,
that's a lot to type.
That's a lot to type too.
I don't even know.
But is in it. That's the hint. The word "but" is in it.
I don't do well with culture tags. I'm too.
You weren't supposed to use no words.
I know, but just gave them one.
Yes, the game is so much fun. They have so many different themes.
Yeah, they have different categories. It's a good.
And she has some new ones coming out too. I saw that, the expansion pack.
All right, Lady Paul, we want to type that one in the chat. Somebody type those letters in the chat.
Because my arm hurting.
I'm going to get hurt. Get sore. Somebody type those letters in the chat.
I'm going to type it in. I can create it.
Okay. HD. That's I remember it. I don't do well with culture tags because I be thinking too hard. It's just like I would think. I probably never will win. Unless it's like less than 5 letters, I probably can win. But Jessica's hints were good. HDHTD.
Oh, Stacey got it again.
He didn't have to do it. He
didn't have to do it, but he did. Yes.
Who sings
that was good. I know that was a hard one. Now, let me take that one off. That was a hard one.
That's me. I was going to come in so I can stay.
What is that? So that was good. Well, you know what? We are almost out of time.
We gotta put up the weaknesses.
The weaknesses of, let me pull it up. Mary, that she lost hope when her brother Lazarus had died, and she forgot the word. In John 11, where it goes over that, Jesus became so, I'm going to take myself out of extra solo. I was like, why am I only one in there?
I was enjoying it myself. Like, oh, I can.
You leave out, but no, when her brother died, he told them he was coming. But of course, he didn't get there till 4 days later. And they're weeping and crying. And Jesus, as you read the story, when you get a chance to read John chapter 11, he's telling, his disciples, oh, Lazarus is sleeping. They said he died. So they was like, oh, we don't need to go. It was like, no, he has died, but it's for God's glory to be fulfilled. So it was almost as if, if Jesus tells you he's coming and the situation gets so bleak and looks hopeless, they buried him. Now, my question, I could go deep into this because this is how I think. But when I think about the Shunammite woman, when her son died, she ran to the prophet. She put him in the bed and ran to get the prophet. So like, oh, wait a minute, you promised me this So it's no way he's going to die. But here they buried him, well, put him in the tomb, wrapped him up, prepared him, whatever. And even when he comes, they're saying if you would have been here, he wouldn't have died. Like, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So that was their weakness. It was Mary's weakness. Martha's weakness was she was discontent. She limited Jesus' power, and she was prideful. In that same story, you will see that Mary comes out. Jesus, if you would have been here, my brother would not have died. When Martha comes out, she's standing up. Mary comes out. She falls at his feet, crying and weeping, in a different manner. So still that humility. Martha was a little prideful. But I will encourage you, because it has been an hour, and so we don't want to keep you long, to read the story of them in John chapter 11. It's a very one of my favorite stories, but it's very interesting when you look at it and see that dynamic.
And the same takeaway from last time, like we can't do everything, but we can do our part. And also, we don't need to compare. We don't need to look at what so-and-so is doing, because God is going to use us how he chooses to use us. And there's a little bit of Mary and Martha in all of us if we allow. We have to be open to be used either way. So, behind the scenes, the worker and the person who's going to be the worshiper and glean and get the information. It's a little, we can make room for both of them just a little. That's my takeaway. I didn't say that's for everybody, but listening to since we're closing on the strengths and the weaknesses, I kind of said, okay, God, what is it that you want? They were flawed women like we are, but they also had some things that they did well, and we can learn from them. We can learn from them.
We can learn from them. But to serve is to lead. To lead is to serve, and to believe is to serve. And that's all that in John 11, he was like, do you believe that I am the resurrection and the life? You should have just let him stay up there. He probably would not have started. He didn't even start to smell. It's just amazing what God wants to do through us. And I think as being a servant of him, what our takeaway tonight that stood out the most was to ask him daily how he can use us, and then that expectation to be a blessing will cause us to have our ears open to hear and our hearts ready, and our hands open to do that which he's called us to do.
That's good.
I think that is the best takeaway of tonight. But we love you guys. We want to thank you.
Lady Paul, when is you want to make an announcement about fellowship or no?
Well, that will be I think it's the third Saturday in May.
Just keep your calendars open. I'm not saying just keep your calendars.
That's May 15th.
Save the date.
Save the date, possibly for May 15th. Save the date. That'll be our pop-up women's fellowship that will maybe be in the parking lot. We have to put you on FaceTime or something, Mama Gail. But we'll do our pop-up.
Gail says she's coming down here. What you talking about? Whoa, child.
We're going to do, because May is Women's Health Month. That's your birthday, Latia? Okay, we gotta come stay a few hours with us. If I let your man take you somewhere, then no, girl, he get precedence. But we're just excited that we can hopefully get together. It's Women's Health Month. Yes, in May, it's Women's Health Month. It's also Mother's Day in that month. But we just wanted to hopefully try to come together in our parking lot. So we're working on all that. So we're looking forward to giving you all those details to sign up. So we can stay in our numbers.
Yes.
We'll be outside, so we'll be good.
We'll be good.
We'll be
I
outside.
encourage you guys to get the vaccination. You know, everybody's doing their own. I'm a proponent of that, just for health purposes. Just can't make you do it, but I'm encouraging.
Yes, and it's we encourage you. You do have to pray and do what's right for you. But we do encourage you if you can.
It's open to everybody now. They've moved it. No more.
Yes, it is open to everyone now. I do believe so. But I want to thank you guys for today. If you do want to purchase the game, you can go to culturetags.com and order the game. Or you can go into your local Target. Target only had 2 left. The one in Bowie only had 2 left, and I picked up 1. But so I encourage you to get the game.
One last thing to remind you, you can say no. Did we want to remind them about maybe doing a study or no? Not now.
Oh, I forgot about that. But we'll bring that up.
We'll bring it up later. Okay, it's time to go.
Once we know, we're going to send out a survey to you ladies soon about. We want to do a study, just like a women's study group, and that we'll come together via Zoom, whatever, and do a book study. It's a Mary's Heart in a Martha World or something like that. I don't know the name.
Just watch your emails, lady. Watch your Facebook page. Watch the
emails. And if you are not a member of PSJBC and you want, you can email to give your email. Send your email to us. So we can send the information out. You can email Letitia Winston at psjbc.org to give your email address if you aren't a member of PSJBC, so that we can put you on the survey too to sign up for that. All right. Yeah. Well, okay, ladies, we love you guys. We're so thankful you spent the time with us. So we're gonna say good night, and we love you all. And see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Warrior Wednesday. I don't know how to do it. I always mess it up.
Jessica, come on. Warrior Hour.
Warrior Wednesday. Well, I love you guys.
Love you all.
Yes, enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye, Warrior girls.
Bye.